welcome back to my channel. It has been ages since I've been on here. I am so sorry, but life's gotten in the way that I've not been able to do anything, but I'm here and I have a really brilliant video to share with you. So I hope you enjoy it. Please, like, hit subscribe, comment, do your thing. I'd really appreciate it. But before I dive straight into what this video is about, I want to show you something. It's really, really, really exciting. Well, it's exciting for me anyway. It probably isn't for you, but it is for me. So, I have a really awesome independent bookstore where I live, and I shop there quite often when I get the chance to. Obviously with lockdowns at the moment, they're just doing orders online, and they do like certain days where you can collect it from the shop, or they'll do it to you locally for free if you're local. Now obviously I'm shielding, so I had to have mine sent here, but here is my little package and I am so excited to show you what I got. So the first one I have got is this amazing book. It's Blood, Metal, Bone by Lindsay Cummings. I've seen this in the shop when I last went in there before lockdown happened. I spent my birthday and Christmas money that I had, and I saw this and it sounded good, but for whatever reason didn't pick it up. But basically it's a deadly outcast, a dangerous seeker, one epic quest for the truth. It's sort of fans for Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows. So it's basically Sonora was destined to die. She was sentenced to execution by her own mother. Punished and left for dead, the shadows have cursed her with a second life as a shadow blood, cast out and hunted by society for her demon-like powers. Now, I love books about demons, so this sounds absolutely epic. Nice chunky book. I love the cover. But yeah, I'm really excited to read that, and this is going to be bumped up quite quickly. But the most exciting thing about this order is this book. To the point that this book is covered in special bubble wrap. So last time I went there, the shop owner, Alistair, he's been shielding too. He's an amazing guy. Every time I've gone there, he's given me his book recommendations, and a lot of them I've taken home with me. He recommended one book which is going to be involved in this video, so I will mention that bit when I get there. But when I went there to spend my birthday and Christmas vouchers, he showed me this book and I really wanted it, but unfortunately it was quite expensive and I didn't have enough money to get that. So I was right, I will get it when I get paid again. But obviously lockdown happened, and so that didn't happen, and I forgot the name. So I DM'd them on their Instagram, and a few weeks later they finally replied back to say what it was called. And so I put an order in because I found out there was some they had a copy there. So this book is expensive, but because I had a voucher and I used all of the stamps on there, I had £10 off, so it wasn't as expensive as it previously was. So it's called Path of Needles by Alison Littlewood. Now, it's not a big, massive book, but the special things about it, it is a very rare. So it's hardback like this. When I take the hardback off, it's like that, and then on the inside it's like that. It says, "Bluebird, blue as the sky, fly to me now, there's nobody by." And then on the other side, like that, it looks like that, with another quote which says, be bold, but not too bold. Least that your heart's blood should run cold." But it gets even epic. So there is like a really big film, it's falling out, sheet like that. So I can take it off. It is signed by Alison Littlewood herself, and it is this special signed edition of Path of Needles is limited to 200 copies, and this copy that I have got is number 96. So this was £30, but I got it for 20. The story is basically, do you know what? I'm going to read it out. I might as well read it out because, you know, it is an epic book and I want to tell you what it's about. So hang on, let me put the sleeve back on. So it is, some fairy tales are born of dreams and some are born of nightmares. A murderer is on the loose, but the gruesome way in which the bodies are being posed has the police at a loss. Until, on a hunch, Alice Hyland, an expert in fairy tales, is called in. And it is Alice who finds the connection between the body of Chrissy Farrell and an obscure Italian version of Snow White. Then, when a second body is found, Alice is dragged further into the investigation until she herself becomes a suspect. Now Alice must fight, not just to prove her innocence, but to protect herself, because it's looking like she might well be next. It sounds amazing. So it's sort of like a retelling of Snow White, and it's obviously got like a crime thriller going through it. And to me, it sounds very much like the Grimm books that you can get, and obviously the Grimm series. Now I watched the Grimm series more and not really much of the books, but this just sounds very much like it. And when he showed me this, it was constantly on my mind, so I knew I had to get it, but I completely forgot its name, and it was hard to describe to someone what it was about, and googling it was ridiculous. But luckily they knew what I meant, they told me, and so I put an order in. So I got these two amazing books which just came like about 10 minutes ago, and I also pre-ordered the paperback version of The Midnight Library. I've wanted to read it for so long. When I went last into shop, they last had the hardback there, but they were sold out, so they said they would order it in, but I couldn't be bothered. I just wanted to buy books that were right there. So when I emailed them these two orders, I obviously said about it, and they said they actually are starting to do the pre-orders of the paperbacks, which are coming out next month. So I was like, I'll just wait and I'll order the paperback. So that's on its way to once it's been released. So yeah, they're my little exciting books. But I'm not come on here to actually show you that. I've actually come on here for a different reason. So I've come on here to do the worst books of 2020. Now, before I go into each category, I just want to put out there that these are my opinions and my opinions alone. Just because I didn't like a book or I really liked a book, that you don't feel the same. Like, we all have different tastes, we all, you know, we like different genres and all that. So I just want to say, the books that I like, if you didn't like, that's perfectly fine. And the books that I didn't like, if you liked, again, it's perfectly fine. But these are my opinions, it's what I felt for them. It's no way at all me saying to you guys, do not get them because I didn't like them. I'm not saying that. You know, you might like the book. So if you have never read the books that I didn't like, please pick them up and make the judgment yourself, because you may actually really like them. And if you don't, then you tried and you can be in agreement with me. But yeah, so I'm going to start with worst first because I want to end it on a positive and a happy note. So obviously the best books are going to go last. So all books that I mentioned aren't in any rank order. However, I probably will tell you if this is like the worst book going. Sorry, my hair is really, it's been washed today, but it's so like fine and everything because I put like this conditioning mask on. It's just annoying me. Ignore that, just ignore me messing around with my hair. But yeah, so worst books first. I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I've got about 8 or 9 best books, although one not as like a set. So anyway, so the worst books are as followed. This first book that I'm going to tell you is actually the one I hated the most, if I'm going to be totally honest. So it's Blood Orange by Harriet Tice. This was a Bookstagram made me do it purchase. Last year it was all over Bookstagram. Everyone was raving about it. There were like 4 or 5 star reviews. There were a couple that weren't high, but everyone was raving about it. Everyone was saying, read it, you will love it, and all of that. So I ended up buying it. I didn't read it straight away for whatever, I think I had other books that I was currently reading, but I did pick it up. I think it was in the summer, like May, yeah, I think it was around May, and I hated it from the get-go. I hated it. Now, I'm not one to DNF a book unless I know it's going to put me in a book slump. Now, I wish I did DNF this book because I'm never going to get those few hours back, but I am not a time traveller, so whatever. But I just could not stand the characters. Now, I am very much a person who likes character and plot driven books. I understand not every character is going to be likeable, but I'd rather have like a couple non-likeable ones and quite a lot of likeable ones, because it makes me actually, you know, like care for the characters. And apart from the child in Blood Orange, I really did not like this book. I just couldn't stand the characters. When I bought it, it was said on Amazon stuff that it was a court suspenseful crime thriller drama, something like that. I can't remember what it said. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember much about this book because it's not a book that I remember. I just know how much I hated it. Like, I gave it 2 stars, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know, it wasn't a high ranking. I wish I DNF'd it. I do. I wish I DNF'd it, but I didn't want to. And I was also at that bit, I was new in Bookstagram. I didn't really know whether DNFing was something people openly did. So I was like, I'll just plough on. I'm glad I finished it because, in all fairness, I wanted to know what happened. And it ended reasonably okay. I hated the characters. It was this woman who was having an affair. She was just completely work focused. She literally would finish work, have an affair with this bloke. She would go to the pub because she's got an alcohol problem, and then she would come back home about 2 in the morning. So her husband's fast asleep, her child's fast asleep in bed. She doesn't spend any time with her family. And being a mother myself, you know, it really annoys me when you have parents who just neglect their children. Like, I'm just like, you know, if you can't be bothered to be a parent, then you shouldn't have had a child, in my opinion. Sorry, but that's just what I think. But yeah, so that really gyrated me. I was just like, for God's sake, you have like a young child and you can't be bothered to be a mum. On top of that, like, I have no quarrel about alcoholics. I know it's a horrible mental health disease to have, but this book just peeved me off because it wasn't like an actual problem per se. It was just, she just did not want to go home, so she would just stay in the pub and have a few glasses of wine until she knew her 2 people at home were asleep. And I was just like, if you're not happy, leave. And then obviously there was this fair going on, and then there was supposed to be this court drama going on, and I think we had about 2 or 3 chapters of this court drama, and that was it. And it was just going backwards and forwards about this affair. It was backwards and forwards about this woman and just how much she was drinking and how much she couldn't be bothered, and things came in light with her husband, and then boom, spoiler alert, husband is killed. I didn't get it. It said on there that it was a suspenseful court drama, so I assumed it was like, you know, going to be a story about something that's gone on with court and I'm trying to catch the killer, but other things come in light. That's what I expected it to be, and it wasn't. And literally when we get to the actual murder bit, it was so rushed and so predictable. I was just like, well, that was naff. That just wasted a couple of hours of my life, and I worked out halfway through what was going to happen. I just didn't like the characters. The plot was just pants. Like, it was nothing like what it was actually explaining in a synopsis and like what people were saying. I did not see the hype. I really didn't. Everyone was raving about this book, and I'm still to this day thinking, what was so brilliant about this book? So no, didn't like it. to the point that I know Harriet Tice has got another book out. I can't for the love of God remember what it's called. I just know it's on hardback. Now I don't know whether it's still on my wish list or if I did take it off, but either way it's a book that I won't physically pay for. If it's still on my wish list and someone gifted it to me, then I would read it and hope to God that it is a better book than Blood Orange. But personally, I'm not going to waste my money on that book because I just didn't like Blood Orange. I'm not keen on the way her writing style was in that book. So yeah. So the next book, oh, this was absolutely horrendous too. So it was The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. This was another Bookstagram made me do it. This again was hyped everywhere. You know, this book had about 4 or 5 stars. I hadn't really seen a very bad review of it until I put my review up, and then a lot of people shared their thoughts of it, and then it was only until I clicked on their profiles that I actually saw that they had similar issues like I did. This was my first ever buddy read with Hannah at Bound by Crime. We both were really excited about this book. We had bumped it up in our TBR pile, so we decided to, well, let's read it together. I'm not gonna lie, this book made me and Hannah talk about books for a good couple of days, because literally every single day, like every few hours, we were literally just moaning about this book. It was a fantastic way of just chatting about books, even though it was really negative. So I had high hopes for this book. I know Hannah had high hopes for this book. If you want to see what both our thoughts were, head on to both our Instagram pages. And it's quite, you have to start from the beginning because it was quite early on. And you can see my thoughts. And I've also put on a picture of what Hannah's thoughts were. Basically, it was, they all were celebrating New Year's at this like Scottish, I think it was Scotland. It was like some like place that was very wildlife. There was no like city stuff, and someone gets killed, and so everyone is a suspect. Now I was expecting it to, because they said everyone was a suspect, to have every single character's point of view in the book until it all went to the actual date of the killing and things come to light. But they didn't. They only used, I think, 4 or 5 characters out of the group, and that annoyed me because at the beginning it was everyone's point of view. So I can't remember how many there were. I think it was about 8 of them maybe. It was all of their points of views, and then when it came to the 2 owners of this place finding this body, it only mentioned about 4 characters, and they were like the main suspects. And that annoyed me because I kind of just wanted everyone's point of view, and you could make your own. You know, it was just made it a bit more, ooh, who could it be? Because I find some books, when they do that, it's nice to have loads of suspects because you're trying to work out who done it, and most of the time it isn't the obvious choice. Now, I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect who the killer was. Hannah did. Hannah actually predicted it, and so she was quite annoyed that she worked it out, as in I didn't. It was only until I got to like the actual climax of the book that I went, oh, and clicked who it was before it was revealed. I just, again, I didn't like the characters. I also got a bit annoyed that it was affairs, like, I read a lot of crime thrillers that have affairs in it, is like the sole focus, and some really execute it really well, and I have no problem with it. But books like this one that just, it was just focusing, oh, this is why this happened, because these 2 people were having an affair and this other person wanted to be this woman. Yeah, it was just a lot going on, a lot of different dramas going on which didn't need to be involved. None of the characters are really likeable, even the one who was like the really goody 2-shoes one, but she was like proper, she just let everyone walk over her, and I thought, come on, open your gob and tell them to stop being, yeah, the bad word. I didn't like it. Nobody, every single one of them to me could have easily done it because they were a bunch of knobs, to be honest. I didn't even like the 2 owners either. There was just something really odd about them. it was just, I didn't like it. I can't really nail down what it was I didn't like. I just didn't like it. I didn't feel like it was any thriller, crime thriller time. It was just a, oh, this lot did this lot did that, whoopie-doo. I didn't like it. I really didn't. I don't recommend it. To the point, like I said with Blood Orange by that author, I'm not sure whether I want to read another book by Lucy Foley. Like, I do own Guess This, which is all the way hidden down there because I own it, but am I going to pick it up? I don't know. A lot of people said that Guess This is a lot better and that, but everyone said The Hunting Party was brilliant and gave like 4 or 5 stars. So I'm sort of a bit like, I don't really trust your judgment because I hated it. But I might get to it and it might actually surprise me, but in all fairness, it's so hidden away that I can't see it unless I actually go like that. And I doubt I'm going to pick it up. I think if I don't read it for 2021, I might just have to get rid of it because it's pointless me keeping a book like that I know I'm not going to read. And the next book, the next 2 books that I will mention are both from a book club. So Mr. Loverman by Bernardine Evaristo. I think I said that right. So I know everyone loves this author. I know everyone loves Girl, Woman, Other. I can't read the books. I'm sorry. It's just, I can't get over the writing style. It's too hard to understand and my little brain just does not understand it. And if I don't understand the writing style and sort of how it's spoken, I can't enjoy the book, which is what happened with Mr. Loverman. I got about 50 pages in. It was all right because it was the bloke's point of view, but then it sort of got to, I think it was about his wife, and so it kind of went into their like native language. And again, like some of the writing style, it was all done out differently to what I'm used to, and I couldn't gel with that writing style. It was, I think if I was used to that writing and I understood it and enjoyed that writing style, I probably would have liked this book. But for me, I just couldn't get over with it. It was Books with Brooke book club, and I ended up DNFing it, and I actually gave this book to someone else who was actually really likes the author and all that. I also got rid of Girl, Woman, Other because I knew I was not going to vibe with the writing and enjoy it, and I just thought I can't. As much as I want to diverse my reading, and I know her books do that, I also want to enjoy the books, learn from the books, and I knew I couldn't do that. So this is a really unpopular opinion, that one, but I am so sorry, and I don't want to offend anyone, but yeah, I just couldn't get on with the writing style, so I couldn't read it. And then Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero, which was also Books of Brooke book club. This was the first ever book club pick, and apart from about 3, maybe 4 people, everyone couldn't stand the book. I think some people did about 1 or 2 stars, some people DNF'd. I did give it 3 stars because there were some parts that were good, but most of it just was a bit ugh. So this book is very much sort of like a Scooby-Doo retelling kind of thing. So it was like a group of kids with the oh my god, I can't remember what breed the breed the dog was. Like, so they had the dog that was like Scooby-Doo, whatever breed that was, and then there was these kids, and so as kids they did sort of like what the Scooby-Doo can do, and they find like monsters, and it turns out to be actual people doing it. And so they like a few years ago, like in their teens, they uncovered this monster and they arrested the man who involved in it. And then it goes to present day, and they're all grown up. I think they're in their like 20s, and one of the girls, I can't particularly remember, it was ages ago since I read it now, but I think she got arrested or something, and she came and she met the bloke that they put inside, and it turned out that actually they put someone in prison and they didn't do the crime. And so it comes out that this crime is happening again. So they've gone back to their old hometown, minus one friend in their gang because they are dead, but he is the ghost and one of the characters can only speak and talk to this ghost. Long story cut short, the author put a heck of a lot of stuff in a 300-page book. There was like sort of a mystery bit of trying to uncover this crime. And then, but this crime actually wasn't actually, you know, humans doing it. In fact, it was like some voodoo witches. There were actual proper monsters, supernatural things. On top of there was a little bit of a woman-to-woman relationship that they sort of, so one of the girls really liked the other girl, but they're best friends. And then it came to light that she shared her feelings. And this girl sort of, she never put herself as a lesbian. She thought she was straight, but I think she sort of now realised that actually she's probably a bit bisexual because she likes both. So there was that sort of romance sort of trying to bloom. And then there was just a lot going on in this book. And I think if the author sort of pulled back a couple of these things, it would have been good. But there was so much going on that you got confused at what's happening. On top of that, there was I'm not sure whether it was actual made up words or whether it was actually a proper like foreign language dialogue. We all said it sounded like it was made up because it made absolutely no sense. It was proper like jumbled letters, and this is what like the ghost was saying or something. On top of that, so some parts of the book when they were having the conversations, you have the you know what I mean. I've lost my mind now. And then another bit, it went into like an actual proper dialogue. Oh my god, I can't remember what it's called now. You know when you have like a script, there we are. I knew I was going to come to it. They had script and it had like, you know, Adam and then what they have to say, stuff like that, and it all of a sudden just went into that, and none of us understood why. Like, why go from normal dialogue part to then a script? We got confused. We didn't see the point of it. It was too much going on. There were some bits that you didn't even understand what was going on because it was all jumbled up words that didn't make absolutely no sense. And then obviously there was some script parts in which you sort of were trying to work out why. So yeah, didn't like that book. Well, I did. The ending was quite good and I liked the supernatural bits, but I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't ever reread it again. So yeah. The next one is Scarred by Damien Nenane. If I said that right. I'm not good at people's surnames, I'm sorry. This was for a book tour. It was Blackthorn book tour, so I have spoken about them before, but just a little recap on who they are. Blackthorn book tours are dark fiction book tour, so they will do books that are very mature. They're very gruesome, you know. Yeah, they cover a lot of graphic content, if I'm going to be totally honest. Now, I'm not saying there are things that don't trigger me. There are a lot of things that trigger me, but I can still read the books. Like I suffer with mental health, but I can happily read mental health books because I think it's nice to see how they represent the mental health side of things, and some books do it really well. And for me personally, I think a lot of books need more of that because it's quite a taboo subject. So Scarred is basically this bloke who goes round killing bad people, and the only bit that I really liked about this book was that it made me question, was this bloke a baddie himself, or was he sort of like a vigilante, like, you know, a superhero getting rid of the baddies kind of thing? Like, yes, he was doing killings, but he was killing people who outrightly deserve it. So I like that part, and I like it was constantly, my opinion of it kept constantly changing. Like one minute I thought, no, he's messed up as much as the psychopath he's killing, and another parts was like, actually no, he's getting rid of people that deserve to be gotten rid, and half of these people weren't even on police radar. The issue I found with this book, there was too much going on. It sort of brought in like this cop's investigation, so he was investigating this crime that was going on. So basically there was this serial killer on loose who was also a serial rapist, and he kept putting his dead victims with a card, and they're trying to find the killer, but his like MO has completely changed. So he went for like young women, and like different, they weren't like the same, they weren't just blondes, they were like blondes, brunettes, big girls, skinny girls, like, you know, he didn't have like an MO, it was just women. And so he raped them a couple of times and then he would kill them. But his MO changed and he was getting fed up of the women not putting up the fight anymore, so he went for kids. And that's what got me. So obviously I'm a mum, my daughter is 5, and I find it really hard to read books that involve paedophilia with children, and this got to this point. Now luckily in the book, the child that got kidnapped, apart from getting kidnapped and tied up and a few bumps and scrapes, she never got touched sexually, thank God. But before, because obviously this person finally got captured, but the few chapters beforehand, you were going into the killer's mind, and he was obviously in his head of what he was planning to do and all that, and I struggled with it. I bawled into tears. I was a mess because it really was very graphic and it really upset me. And unfortunately this book, like many other books out there, did not have a single trigger warning about it. Now I knew platform book tours are mature reads and I know they are quite dark, but I still think books that have that kind of stuff in it really should have some warnings in it. And it is a big bugbear I have with authors and publishers, that, you know, why aren't there that many trigger warnings out there? But anyway, that's another topic that we're not going to go into. But yeah, there were some bits that were good, but that just really, it messed me up. And I you know, I was glad it was near the end, because I honestly think it was, if it was throughout the book, I'd have had to stop it and be like, and message back from and say, I can't read, I'm sorry, it's too upsetting for me, I'm a mum. It's just like, you know, it's my worst nightmare of anything happening to my child. The other bit that I just really annoyed me was it was obviously like the vigilante, the bloke who was killing the bad guys, but sort of, well, the bad guy himself because he was killing them, and it obviously had the cop's point of view, but there was very little in the cop's point of view, and I hate it when they do that, because if you're going to bring that in, you should do, you know, you should swap the point of views equally. And there was very little of the cops' involvement. A lot of the police just couldn't be bothered to find not only this bloke who was killing all the bad guys, but this other serial killer who was raping and killing his victims, who was then turning into a paedophile. And like, they knew this was happening, they just couldn't find or peg the guy. And obviously the vigilante who was killing all the baddies actually found out who it was, so he did the cops' work in the end. But it was just sort of, if you're going to bring the cops' involvement and their point of views, do more of it, rather than just have like 3 chapters of it and then that was it, and then bring it up near the end when everything all climax. And it was just, it was very gruesome, but I could deal with that. But you know, but when it got to the children and how graphic that was, it made me upset. And the same as obviously when the women were getting raped, that was upsetting too. But I'm not saying it's any better, but when it's children and how graphic that did get, I couldn't. I'm glad it was the end part of the book, because if it was beginning or middle of the book, I wouldn't have carried on, because I couldn't cope with it. It was too upsetting and I just felt it was really wrong, and there should have been a big warning about it. The last book of the worst books is The Man I Married by Elena Wilkes. Now I'm not sure whether this is a very known book. I got this from NetGalley. It hadn't been out yet. I know it is out now because it was like last year. Now I had high hopes for this book. It sounded really good. So it was sort of like this woman met this bloke and it was like a whirlwind relationship. They got married really quickly, lived together, but it turns out that this bloke has got a hidden secret, and then he dies. So it was sort of, I was expecting it to be sort of like, you know, how they met, then their relationship, and then like sort of how everything ended to what went on with him. But it didn't give me that at all. So there was a lot going on in this book again, like literally. So the woman was a probation officer, is that right? So you know when prisoners come out of jail, she's the one who makes sure they stay good and they don't do anything wrong. And so this one paedophile comes out of jail. He has all these strict things, and he keeps getting inside of her head. So she was like, I can't carry on with this, someone else has to go. But this paedophile keeps getting wanted just her. He had like some sick fascination with her, so he like kept messaging her, stalking her, stuff like that. So there was that bit going on. So she was getting stalked by him. He kept saying that he had kidnapped another girl. And then there was a bit about her work. So her work were then turning around to say, you're stressed, you're overworked, take some time off. Even though she was saying, look, I'm getting these messages from him, he said he's got another child, you know, but they didn't believe her. And then it all come to light that this bloke was also in a new block of flats in a family cul-de-sac. Now, in this day and age, in real life, you don't do that. If you're a registered paedophile, you do not put them with other families. Or if you do, like, I would have thought the people who live around there would know that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I just think it's stupid. Why put someone who has been done for paedophilia and you put them right where the children are? That is just like a big, like, in your face. And I'm sorry, no one's gonna be all good after that. Nah, it's not gonna happen. So that was just really unbelievable, absolutely stupid. And I was just like, for God's sake, what the hell? Come on, make it a bit more believable. And then it was this whirlwind relationship with this psychologist that she was seeing. And again, you don't have a relationship with your psychologist when you're doing one-to-one stuff. Like, that person will lose their license. But that happened, and I just thought, again, it's not believable. And then to get into their relationship, it was awful. He was abusive. He was horrible. He was like emotionally abusive on top of things. And then on top of that, there was this woman stalking him. And then all of this stuff comes to light of who he was. And then eventually this bloke gets killed. So then it's all trying to work out, who was it that killed him? Was it the wife? Was it the stalker? Was it the paedophile? There was so much going on. And at the end, the little bits that were mentioned never got tied up either. So yeah, I really didn't like that book. I gave it 2 stars. If it wasn't a NetGalley book, to be honest, I would have DNF'd it as well. It was awful. I hated it a lot. Apart from meddling kids, the rest of them were just pathetic, really. Sorry. So yeah, they were my worst books of 2020. I know some of them are probably unpopular opinions, but books that I didn't enjoy. Like I said before, obviously do not take what I've said to heart. If you haven't read the books, please go and read them and make your own decision and opinion about it. Obviously, if you didn't like them, then we're in agreement. But if you love them, then that is absolutely perfectly okay. But please, if you haven't read these books, don't be put off by what I said. Go and try them yourselves and make judgment yourself rather than what I have said. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. If you like this video, please press like. If you have any comments or if you agree with some of my opinions, please let me know. And my next video will be my best books of 2020.